Hi, I'm Judson Beaumont. I've come all the way from Vancouver, Canada. Thanks for having me. I've been doing this for a long time, but I thought I'd share some of the stories. When you make weird things or whimsical things, there's whimsical, weird stories that go along with it. So let's start with that. We're going to go back to 1978, though, and I don't want to go to art school, because when I was a kid, I barely got through high school. I was the baby of the family. Does anybody remember 1978? Huh? Okay. It was the worst design era ever, I think. But look at that carpet. So I got my Elton John boots on. And there's mom and dad. And I just barely got through high school. Just barely. So I graduate from school, and Judd's still living at home because I'm the baby. So what does Judd do? Well, Judd gets some jobs delivering pizzas and washing cars for a living. And I'm content. I'm happy. You know, the parents aren't. They're kind of like, what's this kid doing, you know? I remember getting up early in the morning, well, not early, late, because I was delivering pizzas all night, probably about 11:30, 12, and my father comes home from work, and my dad was a businessman, you know, briefcase, and engineer, you know, all this kind of stuff. And he comes, I said, what are you doing here? He goes, I've signed you up for art school. I said, what? I don't even know, what are you talking about, art school? He says, I've got you signed up at the local college, get in the car. And I'm in my underwear eating Cheerios. And I said, I'm not going, Dad. F off. I'm not going. He says, you're going. And Mom says, you better go. You know. That's how she talked. I'm like, you better go. Georgie. She called me Georgie. I don't know. Anyways, my dad drags me down. We're kind of fighting and scrapping. But, you know, the classes had already started. We're banging on the doors, banging on the doors. The wrong class, wrong class. Finally, we get to the door. We open it up. I walk in. The classes had already started. And there's a nude woman standing right in the middle of the room. And she winks at me. I turn around, Dad's gone, and I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to try this art thing out. I'm going to give it a shot. Wasn't I adorable back then? What I did was I took painting, printmaking, life drawing classes. And I remember I was doing a painting class, and I was painting away. I started taking wood out of the garbage or anything I could. I was sticking it on the canvas. And the painting teacher said, Judd, I don't think painting's for you. I said, but I want it to be three-dimensional. I want to make it look like it's coming out of the canvas. And she said, I think you better try sculpture. And I'm thinking, well, what the heck is that? I didn't even realize they got a full wood shop in the basement. So I'm kind of excited about this, like wood shop. I remember wood shop in high school. I love that stuff. Look at that face. But the point was, I said, I'm not a very good builder. I had an older brother that could build everything the right way you're supposed to build things. So I was always like, oh, I can't be like my older brother. But art school says you can do whatever you want. I said, but I'm not a good builder. It says, just tell people you wanted to look poorly built. And I thought, so I can lie? You can lie. I said, well, this is cool. So here I am faking building stuff. By about third year at this school, I was just making boxes, just boxes after boxes, shapes and all this. And I've discovered Donald Judd. Well, I'm Judd's son. Donald Judd's a minimal artist. I'm going to be a minimal artist. Or maybe Tony Smith, another minimal artist. And I start making these pieces, and I made hundreds of them. And I was just driven to do these things. I don't know why. And I made all these funny shapes, and they're all about 36 by 36 or 24 by 24. And I was making so many of them, the art teacher in third year says, Judd, why don't you have an art show? You got enough of these pieces lying around. So I started making these things, and we had an art opening and a show, and people started coming up to me going, hey, how much for the furniture? I said, excuse me? What did you say? He says, yeah, furniture, right? It's furniture. I said, no, I'm a minimal artist. I'm a study of Donald Judd. They said, no, that would look really cool in my apartment. And I was going, no, you don't understand. I'm an artist. And this is my art. You buy it as art or you don't get it at all. So people started giving me money. I'll give you $500. I'll give you $1,000. I'll give you $200. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. I'm getting some money for this? No, this isn't right. So I went to my art teacher and said, hey, can I sell this as furniture? He goes, absolutely not. You're an artist. You've got to stick with the art thing. I said, yeah, but they're giving me money. He goes, nope, you're not allowed to do that. So I ignored my teacher. I took the money. But anyway, I kept carrying on doing these pieces. And by my fourth year at art school, people were driving by the studio, and I was getting commissions. I was getting paid while I was still at school. And it drove my teachers nuts. They said, wait a minute, you're making a living as an artist. You're not even out of art school yet. What's going on here? But I did sort of respect my teachers. I started making my pieces really, really low, like 6 inches off the ground. People would buy them and put IKEA legs on them. The still furniture, I couldn't break it. We didn't have Google back then. We didn't have any of that kind of stuff. So I had to go to the library and try to find out, could art be furniture, furniture be art? And this was Scott Burton, and he made stuff out of marble. And this is Memphis, of course. When I saw this, I went, oh man, I think I can pull this off. This was Wendell Castle. He's still alive. He's still doing stuff. That's all wood. That's not fabric. And I've met the guy a couple times. He's just awesome. So that was my inspiration. Now you graduate from art school with honors, whatever. It's pretty cool. Now what do? They don't tell you that at art school. Well, really, there's no job when you get out. Nothing. Zero. But I did get a job. I got a job right out of art school in the movie industry. Up in Vancouver, we have a huge Hollywood North. And this is about 1985 at this time. I lasted about 6 months in the movie industry. You know, I met Farrah Fawcett and a couple of other actors and actresses. But it wasn't for me. And the reason I think it was is because, you have to work long hours. I had no problem with that. But you build it, and once it's shot on film, they throw it in the garbage. I just couldn't take that. I said, really? We can't do anything with all this stuff? So I quietly retired from the movie industry. But I was getting married. I was already engaged. And my parents were all happy. So my parents think I'm going to be in the movie business. I've got a job. We don't have to worry about Judson. He's fine. I didn't tell them, and I found this building. This is a picture from 1923. It was a furniture factory, and in 1985, it just became an abandoned warehouse just for storage, and this is what it looks like today. And I actually think the graffiti's holding the building up, because it's so old and it's so ratty. But what happened, I was the first one in the building, and the landlord said, now you might have 3 years max. You may have 3 years, good luck, all the best, Which, if as a kid, 3 years, that's a lifetime. I've been there 31 years now. I've been there the longest of any other tenants. There's 101 or 110 different artisans in this building. It's a landmark. People get their pictures taken out in the backyard. The graffiti changes every couple of weeks. That's my studio up in the corner there. But it's full of artists and painters and upholsterers and sculptors. And what more does an artist need, a struggling artist, is people. We need people. We need that comfort zone. It was like art school all over again. Because really, if you think about it, I loved art school so much, I didn't want it to end. I didn't want art school to end, but this is just too good. So I found this building. I had to come clean with my parents and my in-laws. Oh my God. Their daughter's married an artist. They were not happy. But I showed them the building, and they were still not happy. They're like, you've got one light bulb. You have no windows and no heat. What are you doing? I said, I don't know. This just feels right. I think this is going to happen. And what was good about the building, it was full of different artists so we could share tools. I could run upstairs, use the table saw. I run down here, use a drill press. Run over there, use a sander. We got a lot of exercise in this building. I figure I'm going to finance my art career. That's what I can't find a job, so I'm going to finance my career. During the day, I'll make picket fences or kitchen cabinets or whatever, but at night, I'll work on my furniture pieces. My dad was, businessman kind of guy. He says, well, Jed, I don't know what you're doing, but you got to start a company, and you've got to incorporate yourself. You got to cover your back, So he says, you got to come up with a name right now. Hurry up. Give me a name. And I'm going, well, I guess I'm making straight stuff. I'll call it Straight Line Designs. That's what I'll call it. Really straight to the point, straight goods, straight on. So I called it Straight Line Designs, Incorporated. So I continue making these pieces in my studio, and people are starting to like them and get commissions, and things were going pretty good. They actually started putting legs on my furniture, on my art. After about 5 years of Straight Line Designs, I was really bored. I was like, there's got to be something more than these boxes. So I decided to go down the rabbit hole. There's Dorothy and I going down the rabbit hole. And we land in Toontown. Now, does everybody remember this movie, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? It was before DVD, before VHS and all that kind of stuff. You actually had to go to the theater and watch it. So there's only one scene in the movie, it's about maybe 5 minutes long, where the humans interact with the cartoons. And I had to see that movie. I'd sneak in and I'd just stay there all afternoon watching movies just so I could see this one scene. But I love the way the buildings moved and twisted and they had eyes and all that. And I said, there's something about that. I got to try that. So there you go. The first curved piece called Jesse. When I'm in a building full of artists and designers and painters, you've got a lot of critics too. So people come to me going, Beaumont, what is this? I said, it's furniture. It's a shelf. They said, you can't do that. I said, what do you mean I can't? He said, you're not allowed to. It's not allowed. What, is there a woodworking book on etiquette or something? You can't. They said, it's not right. No one will buy it. It's dumb. It's silly. I couldn't believe the negativity I got. And they said, wood's got to be up and down or sideways. You can't put it on an angle. And you can't have a curved top because you can't put anything on it. So all these people were telling me, don't do it. Which I'll admit, I had to keep doing it to prove, shit, that just better work out, you know? That's Joe. Then I did Mr. Foley. Remember rabbit ears? Remember TV sets with rabbit ears? My only thing was, it's got to be crazy and wacky, but it's got to be functional. If it's going to be furniture, you got to be able to do something. So Mr. Foley here, you open up his mouth, put stuff in it, or the TV set you can pull open and put stuff in there. That was the only rule I stuck with. Another thing you cannot do, according to everybody, you can't put arms on furniture. Can't do it. It's not allowed. I said, why not? So it's just, you can't do it. So well, you could put something in there, you know, you could hang stuff on it. But I realized I was starting to give furniture a personality. It kind of like was like an old friend. So I named this piece Miss Pearson after my grade 8 math teacher. Because that's the way she always looked at me, like, what are you, you're late again or something. By the way, I have children. This is Shelby. And the reason, I'm sure she's cute or whatever. The reason why I put my kids in the pictures is people couldn't figure out the size of it. They said, well, how big is it? Is it a toy? Is it 10 feet tall? So by putting my child in there, it kind of gave it, oh, okay, it's about this tall. This one's called Cindy, and I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to name my furniture after all my friends. That'll be cool. Cindy was a girl that worked with me for about 9 years, went off and had a wonderful family, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, that's it. I'll just name that. So I made another one after a friend of mine named Rosita, but I made it a little bigger. And she looked at me, she goes, Judd, do you really look at me, I'm that much bigger than Cindy? I said, no. You just have more storage. That did not go over well. I never did that again. I made a cracked cabinet like that. And people would buy these off me and say, Judd, can I ask you something? I said, what should I put in the top drawers? I said, I don't know, put your left sock on one side and your right sock on the other. It's not up to me what you put in these drawers. Now, I did melting cabinets, and I was doing a talk to some high school kids years ago, and I did one of those. Does anybody have any questions about my furniture? And this one guy at the back row, he's sitting back on it, leaning back on his chair, he says, have you ever done acid, man? I'm like, what? What, dropped acid? No. You should, man, you should. Here's another one of my acid trips. But it was functional, it was fun, you know. 24 karat, okay. My son is 8 years old, and there's this thing called the soapbox derby races where you go down, it's a gravity, there's no motor in it, but you make a little car, father and son project, and the kid goes down the hill and wins a prize and everybody's happy. Well, I got a little carried away. This is before computers now, no CNC, none of that. My son and I are gonna make a carrot race car. Now, here's my son at 8. I kind of figured my son, because I make this amazing things on this whimsical furniture, blah, blah, he would follow in my footsteps. My son totally hates woodworking, like totally. When he didn't even want to do this. He was like, Dad, you may like woodworking, I don't get it. We are working on this as a father-son project. If anybody wants to make their own carrot race car, just take notes on this here. Now, this is a spray foam. They use it for insulating houses, but it's also great to sculpt with, and you can fiberglass over top of it, and it doesn't melt or nothing like that. Got a big blob of foam, but inside is the frame of the carrot. Of course, we have to fit my son into the carrot. He used to be a big part of that. Okay, I got a little carried away. Just a little. We got rack and pinion steering and hydraulic brakes. I mean, how cool is that? The other fathers were not pleased. They were not pleased at all. We got the 24 karat. And of course, when you make a carrot car, you have to take it down the hill to make sure the brakes work and the steering works and all that. And you know, we're in a nice suburban neighborhood in Vancouver, and you don't really know all your neighbors, but a few of them. Oh yeah, here he's all tucked in. We start taking it down the hill in our neighborhood, going back and forth. Back and forth. I'll never forget, this little old man comes out of his house like this, and he goes, did a big giant carrot just go by? And I said, yeah. He goes, okay. He watched from the window. I did the custom license plate. Unfortunately, it was incredibly slow. I didn't calculate the ratio to the whatever. I should have made a slug. This is what I should have made, because it didn't go very fast. We won best design. And my son's getting interviewed, and there he is in his race gear. And I'll never forget another one of these funny things, but my son comes up to me, gives me this big hug, and he whispers in my ear, and he goes, Dad, I couldn't have done it without you. I said, you're damn right you couldn't have done it without me. There's $10,000 worth of Labor in that sucker. Couldn't do without me. Here's a funny one. As my business grows, I got asked to do talks, and you want to go to Korea? And I said, sure, I'll go to Korea. And I had my furniture on display, and I had to do a few talks. And this is really weird, but I showed all my furniture, I showed some of the stuff. And you know how you guys did the cows in Chicago and moose in Toronto or whatever? We did whales, and we decorated them, and we raised money for charity and all this kind of stuff. The guy that I did this for, he's a rock promoter, he said, do Elvis Presley as a whale. I said, sure, that'll be cool. So I do this thing. There's about 50 of these whales all over the city. But it made lots of money, and the charity thing was great. You know, it was a good cause that we did. Anyways, I show this picture in a group of people, maybe about half the size of this, in Korea. And after my talk, I'm walking off, the stage, and these 5 or 6 gentlemen in suits. Oh yeah, I also had a translator wherever I went in Korea. And they said, Mr. Beaumont would be honored if we could take you for dinner. We really like your work. And I thought, so I asked the translator, is that cool? She goes, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy you dinner. I said, yeah, let's go. So we have a lovely dinner, very, long dinner, but we have a dinner. And then they say, Mr. Beaumont, we'd like to take you somewhere now. And I'm like, okay, where are we going, translator? She goes, I have no idea where they want to take you. So we go outside, and no word of a lie, it's like remember the Matrix, the black limousine with the suicide doors? They've got this big black Lincoln, and they said, get in the car. And there's a bunch of them, so we're all packed in there like this. And my little translator's starting to get a little worried now. And I said, well, where are we going? She goes, they won't tell me. They say it's a surprise. So now we're in Seoul, Korea, and we're going out of town, and we're driving out of town, and it feels like hours, but where are we going? So we're going down the freeway. Now we're out of the city limits. Now we're just on a highway, and all of a sudden they slow down and they go off onto a dirt road. And we're driving up the dirt road. And I'm really freaking out. And she's freaking out. Like, if she's freaking out, then I'm really freaking out. And I'm thinking, what the heck did I do in that slideshow? They're going to kill me or something. What they're going to do to me? We stop the car. It's November. It's chilly. And the one guy finally speaks English and says, get out. So I'm outside of the car. And we're sitting there. And the guys take off. They run up the hill, leaving us by the car. And I see them running up the hill in the dark. There's this shadow of a building. They flick on a switch. Lights come on, Christmas lights, bells and whistles. It's the Elvis Presley fan club. And they thought, me being a North American, I must just love Elvis. I mean, who doesn't? They're all dressed as Elvis Presley now. They got the fake hair, and they got the big bellies, and they go, song. And I'm like, oh God, what's an Elvis Presley song? Blue suede shoes. Karaoke starts. We have to sing. So we were there for about 3 hours singing karaoke songs, watching movies. They gave me a whole bunch of fake souvenir stuff like scarves and hats and bad plates. Anyways, I was alive. That was the main. Keep in mind, I thought I was, what a way to go. Out in the middle of nowhere in Korea. They drove me back to the hotel, and I remember just going back to my hotel room, sitting on the bed going, that was the weirdest Twilight Zone I've ever been in my life. So that's that. Pet camper. My daughter turns 8. She wants a dog. So we get her a dog. And the next thing she says, Dad, you got to make a dog house for the dog. And I'm busy. I'm working. I did the carrot thing. I got that out of my system. But she wants a dog house. And I think, okay, well, whatever. And I'm not going to make the Snoopy dog house where you have to, run the lawnmower into it or the weed eater. I'm going to put the one on wheels. So I'm sketching away. We're going to talk about sketching a little bit later. So anyways, I come up with this idea. I'm going to make a little trailer. Same foam as the carrot. Fiberglass. Now we make a rubber mold off that. And here you go. And there it is. That's right. And there's Dewey. So it came with a custom license plate, had the dog dishes, and this thing went crazy. We got on the National Enquirer. I mean, come on. Apparently Paris Hilton has one of these. I've sold a bunch of these. I've got a whole bunch of different styles. But it got me connected with Crayola Crayon Company, Disney, and it's just, even though it's just a doghouse, it's just silly pieces, it's amazing how much it attracted my website and how much work it got me. So I really look at this as, I'm not trying to sell you doghouses, but it really promoted my company a lot. I took it to the furniture fair in 2005. There's little Dewey. This is Vern. I figured, why does furniture have to stand all the time? Somebody just standing there. Underwear and socks. And why can't furniture just sit down, take a load off, just relax? So if you buy Vern, you get the bench for free. Before we screwed Vern down to the bench, I said, let's take him on the road. Let's get him out there, get him circulating. So we did this photo shoot at Starbucks, and then we took them on our subway system. We have a subway system in Vancouver. It's very small. But believe it or not, this was a full train. There was 1,000 people. I walk in with this thing. Everybody just cleared away. Like, this guy's nuts. So it's too bad there weren't people around it, but it's kind of cool. Took him to the beach. Now, this is Vern's brother, Vinny. He's a bit more hip. He's got tattoos, and he's got a smile. And I thought, what kind of tattoos would he have? I thought, like every carpenter's term, it's measure twice, cut once. And then, of course, we have babies. And I guess that would make me the mother, which is kind of weird. But we made all these little juddies. We called them juddies. There they are. Is that so cute or what? I get a lot of calls from people all over the place. But this is a couple in New York City, and they love Disney. They love Disney. They said, could you make a Winnie the Pooh table and chairs? Why not? The top part spins. It's all solid wood, beautiful, and fiberglass and all that. So they deliver it. They've got it. I'm in New York on business. I go and say hi to them. We meet at a restaurant, and they take me out for dinner, and I said, you guys, I don't need to ask, do you have kids? And they said, oh, no. But we're told we can't have babies. They're pregnant. And I think I had something to do with that. I don't know. What do you think, huh? 3D printing. I don't know anything about 3D printing at all, except that it's done by a computer. This is a full-size version of a piece of furniture I did, and it's like a family portrait where everybody gets their pictures taken. So these are full-size, and I make these from time to time for different clients. And then I thought, well, why don't I get someone to program it, and we can make little toys out of them, miniatures. So we did this. So here are these little miniatures that came out of it, and then I did a large grandfather clock. Now I got to find a guy to print it. It's all online. So we find this guy named Max, and Max has a 3D printer thing. So we call him up, and he makes these little miniature pieces for me. So I go to pick them up at this store, and there's, a mom or a lady there. And I said, here's the money, and hey, is Max around? She goes, oh, no, Max isn't here right now. I said, well, listen, I'd sure like to take Max out for a beer or two and talk about some future projects. And she goes, Max is 13 years old. I couldn't believe it. A 13-year-old. Copycats. Oh boy, you gotta love the internet. Here you go. I use children to show scale. This guy uses beer cans. More copycats, more copycats. This is a lady in Paris makes stuff out of cardboard. Oh yeah, this guy, he's really doing my stuff. But this particular one was a funny story. I'm in my studio, we're working away. By this, I've got a shop, I got guys working and girls working. And this giant biker walks into my shop one day, and he's huge. He's got a bandana. He's got his buddy with him dragging his foot. And they walk into my shop, and they're huge men, and they say, which one of you's Judson Beaumont? And I'm like, shit, did I not pay my phone bill? These guys are huge, like they're just monsters. My staff just run away. So, okay, guilty as charged, I'm Judson Beaumont. And the guy goes from a growly face to this big smile, and he comes up and goes, I love you, man. And he comes up and he gives me a big hug, and he's swinging me around. And I'm like, what's going on? He says, I go to your website, I'm a part-time carpenter, and I try to make your stuff. And he brings out a little scrapbook or a little photo book. It's got flowers on it. It was awesome. And it's all the furniture of mine that he's made. Luckily, they weren't not that good, but I didn't say that to him. Sketching when I should be sketching. I'm a big fan of sketching and drawing every day. I hire lots of kids and students, and I talk to architectural students, and nobody draws anymore. It's all on the computer. They're scared. They're scared they're going to make a mistake. And I said, well, that's the whole point of sketching. That's how you do it. I sketch about an hour and a half every day religiously. I love it. I'm on airplanes. I'm sketching. I'm wherever I can. I'm drawing all the time, just playing all that. But sometimes I've got projects and I just can't come up with a good idea. I'm stuck. I got writer's block. So what I did, this is my little technique, is you keep sketching, but you sketch something completely different to keep your mind off what you should be doing. So you're almost playing hooky. You should be working, but you're not working. So I decided just to draw birdhouses all day. So I was supposed to draw some children's hospital thing or whatever, but I just started drawing birdhouses. I'm not going to show you them all, but a lot of them. And they're totally ridiculous. Here's a hotel. Stay free hotel. There you go. I did so many that I figured I better build one of these things. So with a pool on the top. Hey, how about an eye log? Come on, Apple. Where are you when you need them? So we had to make that. And it actually works, which is kind of cool. How about a 6-pack of loggers? Huh? What? Come on. Furniture on vacation. How come you guys get to go and your furniture's always sit at home waiting for you to come back? Like they're laying on plywood there. How about furniture flying, How about furniture gum? Hanging your furniture out to dry. Could happen. How about snow angels? In closing, love what you do. I'm so privileged that I've been doing this for 31 years in business. I have a lovely wife, 2 beautiful kids. great family and friends, and I have to thank my mom and dad for making the right choice, because I don't know what I would have done if I didn't find art. So thank you very much.